So what I have here are two of the heads off the Home Depot skeleton, the pitted skeleton and the regular posable skeleton. And as you are aware, probably, these also have built-in LED lights that you can turn it on and off. That's a great feature. It really helps make them look even better, except there's no timer for those lights. So if you turn them on, let's say, as it starts to get dark in the evening, then you have to go back outside at night before you go to bed to shut them off. Otherwise, they will be on all night and you will quickly have dead batteries. So my thought was if I can add some kind of a timer so these could turn on and off by themselves. And so I started looking online, and what I found was there's actually somebody who's going by the name of Dadgineered, like engineered, but Dadgineered. And he's selling these units on Etsy, only $7. And what they do is they allow the lights to come on for 6 hours, then it will automatically shut off for 18 and turn back on for 6. And the cycle continues as long as the on-off switch in the back is in the on position. Now that's great because once you turn them on, after the 6 hours, the way he's planned it out, they will always turn back on at the same time that you've initially turned them on. So if you turn them on at 6 p.m., they go off at 12. Then they're going to turn back on at 6 p.m. the next night. So that's terrific. So I bought those, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to install them, because these weren't exactly made for these models. He gives you these connectors so you could connect it easily to the fancier one that has the better looking eyes in it. But before we get into that, I want to mention that I have another video on how I got these heads to rotate and have the mouths open and close. So I'll put a link up top so if you want to watch that video. But also, in my personal opinion, this guy looks a lot better since I painted the eyes and the nose. So a real quick rundown how you could do that relatively easily. So all you really have to do is take some tape. It doesn't have to be perfect. And just mask off the areas that you don't want to have any of the black. So I'm not going to go through the whole process here, of course, but just fit it like this, you know, take pieces, keep going around, and go like that, and fit it in, you know, the best that you can, following the contours. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but what I would do is, and what I did here is, do only one eye first. Then you'll move on to this eye, then you'll move on to the nose. And what I mean by that is just put the tape all around here so you don't have to worry about blocking the nose because you have to paint it. You'll just go like this. Once you get the eye socket pretty much how you want it, take some paper and put paper on the rest of it. So you'll overlap the tape like this. And then you could just tape over the entire skull. So then when you spray paint, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Then when you go to do the next eye, you would do the same thing. You would have tape around there, and you could put the paper overlapping on top of the tape, so on and so forth. The only thing is, if you're going to paint it, you do have to take the LEDs out. But if you're going to wind up modifying the head so it can turn and the mouth can move easily, you're going to be taking it apart anyway. It's really not that big a deal. So now that we got that out of the way, let's move on to showing you the install of these timers that I got, what's involved, and we'll see how it works. Okay, so obviously what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take all the screws out so you can separate this, and also take the screws out of the battery door, take the door off to the side, pop this guy apart carefully, and there's the wiring. Now, first thing you want to do is look inside to the battery compartment. You will see you have the positive and the negative side. So here's the negative. So let's flip it over and see where the wire is. Okay, the wire is connected on this corner and this corner. So let's see what this corner is. Now obviously I already marked it, but you'll see. Okay, that's the positive side of the battery. So you put yourself a little plus there. Negative side of the battery. Little negative there. So now you know which is positive and negative. So then what you're going to do is, because, as I said, these were not really made for this model. You're going to have to cut the wires, and you're going to have to cut these ends off, and you're going to have to splice them in between. It's really not that big of a deal. It's pretty easy. So I'm going to do that, and just remember, you have your positive and negative, and if you want to be extra careful, you can just do one at a time. But here's your red and black. So this is labeled for you, so it's pretty easy. So let me get to cutting those wires, and we'll get this thing hooked up and see how it works. Just going to cut the wires. Okay. Then you're going to strip some of the wire lead, the insulation off. There's plenty on that one. Let's get a little bit on this one. Because we're not using the connectors, because these skulls don't have them, when he's created this, he has set this up so they can only connect the way they're supposed to go. So before you do anything, make sure the small end must go to the LED side. The big end must go to the battery side. This is how it's designed for the current to go this direction. If you put it this way, don't think it's going to work. So remember, small connector to the eyes, big connector to the battery pack. And to be extra sure that you don't make a mistake, just do one side at a time. Only cut this side off after you're done connecting this side, or vice versa, however you're going to do it. So I'm going to cut off the big end, and I'm going to wire that to the battery pack. Stripping some leads here. Okay, and I'm also going to use solder. I'm going to solder my connections together. And I'm also going to put some heat shrink tubing on it. If you don't have heat shrink tubing, that's fine. You can use electrical tape. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, everything's connected. It's pretty much back together. You can't screw it all back together because I have to take him back to his body and put the head back on the body. Once that's done, I will tighten up all the screws when he's in place. But as you can see, turn it on, it works still. So now if I turn it on now, they'll go for 6 hours, shut off, and come back on in 18 hours. Now I can have my display running and I don't have to get up at 11, 12 o'clock at night to shut off the lights. Hopefully this helped you out, and until the next time.